Hey, what's up guys? Aiden here, and welcome back to another talking video. So, I am doing this talking video in the same style as I did my last one, where I talked about the Jemmy pop culture series Frank Sinatra. I was pleased with how that talking video turned out with this style, where I have my Roblox avatar on screen. I was pretty pleased with how that turned out, so for the foreseeable future, this is how I'm going to do all my talking videos. So, basically, what this video is going to be about is the story of the Morris Costumes 2023 unreleased prototype of Groundskeeper. You could see on the right-hand side, that's from a stock photo that was taken of him, and the one right above my Roblox avatar here is when he was at the Party Expo, which I'll be talking about here in a minute. Now, if I were to be asked, Aiden, what is your favorite Morris Costumes animatronic of all time? Now, I have a lot of favorites. Soul Stealer, Rotten Harvester, Graveyard Host, Mangy Rat, Lurching Reaper. I have a lot of favorites. But if I had to pick one, it has to be Groundskeeper. He is just so cool, and I love this prop. He is amazing. Now, unfortunately, despite him being so amazing, he did get canned last minute, which I'll be talking about later in this video. But yeah, he unfortunately did get canceled, and later on, I'll get into the reasons why. But I guess without further ado, let's get into the story of the 2023 unreleased prototype Groundskeeper from Morris Costumes. So, our story begins at the Halloween and Party Expo event that took place in Las Vegas, Nevada in about sometime in January of 2023. Here you can see some photos of him in activation where he's talking, and showing off, what he does, like his animation and stuff. And then the bottom photo there is him in his static state, not turned on at all, just sitting there turned off. So, just like with all the other prototypes from last year, Carnival Barker, Soul Stealer, all the hangers like the Reaper, the Pumpkin, the Hanging Hag, all of those, Mangy Rat, Soul Stealer, Bone Wreath, and also Groundskeeper. They were all shown off at the Party Expo in Vegas last year, and that's when we got to see this amazing prop for the first time. And as far as I know, it's like only like I think like consumers, like retailers like Halloween Express and stuff, and specific people are allowed into the expo event. Now, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure about that. Um it's just from things I've heard over the past year, so after the party expo happens, the prototypes are then packed up and sent to St. Louis, Missouri, where Transworld happens. But in between the time that the Party Expo ended and when the prototypes were sent to St. Louis, Missouri, we got Groundskeeper's factory video. And here are just a couple of screenshots from that video. Like I said, the factory videos, got leaked, or were not necessarily leaked, but found and uploaded to YouTube. So the one on the right is him in the dark, and then the one on the left is him with all the lights on and stuff like that. Now, here he is at the Transworld event that I think took place late January to early February, I want to say. I can't remember the dates exactly. All I know, it was like a few weeks or so, or to a month after the Party Expo happened, which, um, as you could see, here he is all set up. Morris had him up high so that way no one could, like accidentally knock him over or anything, which was very smart. So good on Morris Costumes for doing that. Very smart and great way to keep, Groundskeeper from falling over. But as you can see, these are all photos from Transworld. The two on the left are just alternate angles, and then the one on the right is just an up close photo of his face and his hedge clippers. And this is the exact same Transworld event that Servo Pumpkin was shown off at. Now, after Transworld ended, there's a party store in St. Louis, Missouri called Johnny Brock's Dungeon, and in 2023 they ended up buying the prototypes, and Groundskeeper being one of them. On the left-hand side here by my Roblox avatar, you can see a screenshot from the video I took of Groundskeeper when I got to see him back in July of last year. And on the right, you could see a photo of his box and him in his box. Now, his hedge clippers were broken because I found out that he was transported as one piece to Johnny Brock's, and so I guess in shipping, his hedge clippers broke. But everything mechanically, like his hedge clipper movement and his mouth movement, everything like that was completely fine. It was only the hedge clippers themselves that were broken, not the mechanisms. Now, when he was at Johnny Brock's, that was the last place that we knew where Groundskeeper was, because Johnny Brock's, last year they bought the prototypes, Soul Stealer, Groundskeeper, from Morris, and then they'll resell them at Johnny's. And now Groundskeeper ended up at Johnny's, I want to say maybe like really late January, early February, sometime after Transworld. And it wasn't until July when we found out that he was still there. But what was worrying was that in between the time he first showed up at Johnny's and the time when I went, someone could have easily, purchased him then, which was something that I was afraid of. Because, like I said, he is my favorite Morris prop of all time. And I really wanted to get him, but I didn't know if he was still going to be there in between, those 3 or 4 months between, when I went and when he first showed up there. And that was one of the scary things, as, sometimes, it's like these props are shown off and then, they'll end up somewhere, but then like months later, someone might purchase them or they'll end up somewhere else and then we don't know where they are. So that was a concern of mine, that, and it could have been a possibility Groundskeeper could have been sold in between from when he showed up and when I went. Now, like I said earlier, he did get canceled, which is really, really sad because he is a really, really cool animatronic. I mean, we rarely get country type props anymore, and his phrases are dark. Like, they are dark, which we rarely see on animatronics anymore. And when I found out he got canceled, it made me more determined to get him, but like I said earlier, I didn't know if I was going to get him or not, because he could have sold in between the times between from when he first showed up at Johnny's and then when I went. So, but yeah, from what I know is that he apparently didn't get enough orders, which that's mind baffling to me because I know that he did have pre-orders placed for him. People did want to buy him, but I guess not too many people pre-ordered him, I guess. And I mean, Carnival Barker did end up getting released, which I mean, I'm glad he did, but honestly, Groundskeeper, along with Servo Pumpkin and Bone Wreath, um, they could have easily ended up getting released as well with, Soul Stealer, Mangy, Carnival Barker, all of them, It's like, but no, Bone Wreath, Servo Pumpkin, and Groundskeeper were all canned, unfortunately. I mean, I'll never be able to wrap my head around why he didn't get enough orders, because like I said, he is such a unique animatronic. So much great detailing, but I guess not enough people wanted him, I guess. So, which is sad. And honestly, it does frustrate me that, not that many people, pre-ordered him and that he got canned last minute, as I would have loved to see, what he would have looked like, you know, um, if he was released, if they would cut any phrases off of him or, you know, and I know some seasonal visions props have face deformities. That wasn't the case with this prototype, but I mean, I would have been curious to see if he were released, if he would have had any face deformities or what. So, yeah, it just makes me frustrated that not a lot of people pre-ordered him. And the fact that his last whereabouts were at Johnny Brock's was also, I guess kind of a red flag, you would say, in terms of like whereabouts of animatronics, because usually, it's like once props go up for sale, they'll sell. And then it's like sometimes we'll get videos of, where they ended up, after the fact, but sometimes we don't. And that's one of the scary things, is that, again, with Groundskeeper, we didn't know where he would end up next. We didn't know where he would end up. And I was told that Johnny Brock's did have a couple of floodings happen. Of course, not bad floodings. They weren't bad or anything like that. But Groundskeeper, was involved in that, but he survived. And honestly, the fact that he survived is absolutely crazy. But yeah, like I said earlier, the last place we knew where he was at Johnny Brock's, and then after that, we didn't know where he would end up. We didn't know if he was going to be sold or what would happen to him. And it's always nerve-wracking, like when we find out like where these props, their last whereabouts were, because like I said, someone could have bought him in between the time he ended up there at Johnny Brock's and the time I went, because it was a good 3 to 4 months, maybe even 5, and he could have been sold. Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad he, was seen at Johnny Brock's, but in terms of being canceled and being a one-of-a-kind prototype, that still baffles me. Now, not everything, seemed, all doom and gloom, I guess, for Groundskeeper, being with Johnny Brock's being his last whereabouts, because he actually did end up selling. He did end up selling, but he actually ended up being sold to a collector. And that collector being me. Yes, I bought Groundskeeper when I went to St. Louis, Missouri in July of 2023. I had mentioned earlier how when I went, he was still there. Um, that was because I actually knew he was still there. I figured he was, and thankfully he was, because no one was really buying animatronics around that time. Um, and so when I went, he was still there, and I bought him, and so he's safe and sound with me, which I'm very glad. And then here you could just see a bunch of photos of him set up in my basement. The middle one being of him in the dark, um, there, which his eyes light up. They really light up. And then, of course, just a bunch of um, different photos I took of him and his box. I mean, and let me tell you, his box is ginormous. Now, I'm sure if he was released, he would be in a smaller box. But of course, these are prototypes. And on the other side of the box, it did say show samples. So yeah. And in my review that I did of him, I said how there were two of them, one that was at the Party Expo and one at Transworld. I just want to clarify that there is only one prototype of Groundskeeper, which is the one I own, which is this one in these photos. And this is the same one that was seen at both Transworld and the Party Expo. So there are not two prototypes of Groundskeeper. I just wanted to clarify that. And in the bottom left-hand photo, you can see the prototype Hanging Reaper that I bought at Johnny's as well, and the prototype Soul Stealer Tombstone. You could see part of it. I did a live stream when I got home from St. Louis last year of me setting up these prototypes, and we finally got to hear Groundskeeper's phrases without any other animatronics going off in the background, because when they're at these events, they have other animatronics there going off, and it's kind of hard to hear them, so yeah. And I was able to fix his hedge clippers. Basically, all I did was lined up the broken pieces and super glued it back together. And let me just tell you, the detail on this guy is incredible. There's blood all over the hedge clippers, his wrist gauntlets, his hands. There's, simulated, dirt stains on his jean overalls and his shirt. And his facial expression makes him look like he's, angry, because he talks about how, like, hey, you get off my property or I'll kill you, stuff like that. And like I mentioned earlier, his phrases are dark, and he is really, really cool. And that photo in the upper right-hand corner of his box sticker, that's the only sticker for the box that exists of Groundskeeper. The one that's on his prototype box, I guess you could say. Because he would have had the plain white box with the sticker on the front if he were released. So, yeah. And then also, my dad helped me build a custom riser for him, which I will be doing a whole separate video on that, showing Groundskeeper with the custom riser I built, and I'll go into way more detailing on that, but in that video. But yeah, I am very, very happy to own this guy, as like I said, after I found out he was at Johnny Brock's, I was determined to get him last year, and I'm so glad I did. He moves a lot faster now. His hedge clippers almost close all the way. So yeah, he's in safe hands with me. And every time I look at Groundskeeper, I'm still always in disbelief that I own this guy, because I'm just glad I was able to show him off, in all his glory, and get like up close pictures of him. And now I do want to say that the adapter they included wasn't the normal seasonal visions adapter where you could change out, the wall outlet plug, where you would plug it into the wall. It came with a standard United States outlet adapter, like plug in for the wall outlets here in the United States. And I think he did have instructions at one point, but I guess those might have gotten lost or something. I'm not 100% sure on that. But he wasn't that hard to set up. It was pretty straightforward. Yeah, he is just a really, really cool prop. I'm happy to own him. And like I said, his box is huge. And hopefully I'll use him in my Halloween setup this year. And yeah, it still feels like a dream that I own Groundskeeper. And like I said, he's in good hands with me. I'm taking really good care of him. And bottom line is, I just love this guy. He is so cool, and I'm just happy to own him. So yeah, guys, that pretty much does it for this talking video. I just wanted to explain the story of Groundskeeper, and give you guys a little history on, from first, going to the Party Expo to ending up in my collection. So, with that being said, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want me to do like a talking video about Soul Stealer or, Servo Pumpkin or any other animatronic or, Spirit Halloween thing, just let me know in the comments. And also, if you have any more information on why Groundskeeper got canceled, please let me know. I would like to know because, as far as I know, he didn't get enough orders. So yeah, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and bye.